Live from Bermuda Broadcasting, this is ZBM TV9 News.
You're watching Bermuda Broadcasting News. It's Monday, April the 9th. I'm Jasmine Patterson, and thanks for joining us tonight. Tributes are pouring in today for the legendary journalist Ira Phillip, who has passed away at the age of 92. The broadcaster, historian, author, and former Progressive Labour Party senator covered many of the seminal moments of 20th century Bermudian history, including the theater boycott and the 1977 riots. He was especially known for espousing the cause of Black Bermudians. Ira Phillip got his start with the Bermuda Recorder newspaper, working as a reporter during a time of deep racial segregation in the late 1940s. He later took the role as news director when he moved into broadcasting with ZFB Radio. Delano Ingham, a close former work colleague at ZFB, said he spoke to Mr. Phillip just yesterday, and the veteran journalist was in good spirits.
Last night I was talking to him, and I'm in St. George's in the rest home. When I left there at 4:45, I says to him, have a pleasant and peaceful evening. Ironically, this morning I'm hearing for the first time that he passed away last night. Right, so he was there singing along and having a good time with us all.
The pair met in 1965, beginning a lifelong friendship, with their mutual respect for each other driven by a desire to revolutionize the way news was brought to audiences.
I recall when we had the riots in the 60s, I hooked him up with a two-way radio and told him to go down and we would report the riots that were going on Court Street, and he went down there with his two-way radio and recorder. And he promptly got yacked out of his car and got the car flipped over, and they torched the car and meshed up all the equipment that he had with him. Right, so, and those are the types of things that were phenomenal with him. I remember when we went to get the first color camera for Bermuda, first portable color camera that is. We went up to New York to buy the camera, to go over to Providence, Rhode Island, to shoot the start of the Newport Bermuda yacht race. And when we got back here, we were supposed to then film the start of the Bermuda's first tall ship race. Right, and those are the types of things. And when the way he led himself around news was just phenomenal.
Retired journalist Meredith Eben can attest to Mr. Phillip's dedication to journalism over more than 7 decades.
He was a witness to history in Bermuda. He covered many of the pivotal events of the 20th century. When he was working as a reporter for the Recorder, he would have covered instances of racism, important people coming to Bermuda, black people coming to Bermuda, often from the Caribbean, and they were denied a place. They could not get a place in the hotels downtown. There were often stories about important lawyers, judges, who were denied a place in a hotel. So he would write things about that. So you could almost get a sense of what Bermuda was like in the segregation era.
Mr. Phillip wrote the Island Notebook feature during his later years, his column appearing in the Royal Gazette.
Ira wore his political heart on his sleeve, and that may have confused some whose ideal of a journalist is someone who tries to just report the facts and only strives for objectivity. But today, as we observe the New York Times and the Washington Post take on President Trump, we are reminded that a journalist's first job is to speak truth to power, and Ira Phillip did that. He entered journalism in the late 1940s when Bermuda was a place of rigid racial segregation and a place where one small class of people dominated all facets of life. He spoke out against that as a journalist. He reported E.F. Gordon, he reported the theater boycott of the late 1950s, the universal adult suffrage movement of the 1960s, and on, right up to the present day. And so I think he is probably the only journalist who can claim to have had that kind of longevity, but he also reported it in a very unique way.
The drive also led Mr. Phillip into politics, where he served as a Progressive Labour Party senator in the late 80s. He was honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award by the Bermuda Arts Council, And recognition came from abroad, too, with Mr. Phillip awarded the Trailblazer Award by the 2nd District of AME Churches in Washington, D.C. Premier David Burt today offered his condolences to the family of Mr. Phillip, saying his contribution has undoubtedly enriched Bermuda and that he had courageously recorded the struggle of Black Bermudians to build a society and institutions which would improve their lives and those of their descendants. Our sincere condolences go out to the family of Mr. Phillip. Could the former Commissioner of Education, Dr. Freddie Evans, be about to return to the civil service? There is speculation this could well be the case, but if he does return, it won't be to the Ministry of Education. Gary Moreno has the story.
Well-placed sources tell ZBM News the matter brought by the former Education Commissioner was scheduled to go to trial in the Supreme Court last week, but that didn't happen. And it's now been put down for mention on this coming Friday, the 13th of April. Word is the delay was due to efforts to have the matter settled out of court, a settlement that is said to include Dr. Evans returning to the civil service, but in a ministry other than education. We are told, though, any reinstatement would more than likely have to be in a position, perhaps not with the Education Commissioner post, but at the least one similar with his former substantive post as an assistant director at the Ministry of Education. You may remember it was announced in an email from Ms. Valerie Robinson James, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, to public school principals and teachers in October of last year that Dr. Evans had been relieved of his responsibilities as Education Commissioner. That was denied by lawyers for Dr. Evans, who claimed he had not received any notification about being relieved of those responsibilities from anyone at the Ministry of Education. And further, the ministry did not have the authority to do so. That, his lawyers argued, could only come from Government House. The Public Service Commission later confirmed that in line with his probationary period, it would recommend that Dr. Evans return to his former position as Director of Education. Dr. Evans subsequently filed a writ against the Governor and the Attorney General over the situation. We've been informed he and representatives for the respondents are scheduled to meet later this week with the aim of reaching an out-of-court settlement, which, as we've been told, could result in him once again becoming a government employee. Meanwhile, attempts to get comment from Dr. Evans have so far been unsuccessful, and we're also waiting to hear back from both Government House and the Attorney General's chambers about the purported situation. Gary Moreno, reporting for the Bermuda Broadcasting News.
This is Rick Blomquist of De Pere, Wisconsin. His life is pretty comfortable. He lives in a comfy home, wears comfortable shoes. He even has a comfortable job. Rick Blomquist thought he had comfort all figured out. But then he laid on a Serta and realized his life was only just sorta comfortable. The new Serta iComfort Hybrid Mattress. Not just sorta comfortable, Serta comfortable.
Feel the difference. A good night's sleep.
Pumps make our world go. Cars, washing machines, oil rigs, submarines, all have pumps. The heart is a pump too, and like all pumps, it has parts that wear out and need to be replaced. But the heart isn't easy to get to. First, surgeons have to cut through a protective cage. But what if you could get to the heart the same way blood does, through an artery? Researchers at Columbia and Weill Cornell, working with New York Presbyterian, pioneered an artificial aortic valve that folds closed, like an umbrella. Doctors guide the valve through arteries to the heart, where it unfolds and goes to work. Techniques like TAVR may soon replace open heart surgery altogether. Patients could check in the morning and leave with a rebuilt heart the very next day. That's amazing. And it's happening right here at New York Presbyterian.
Welcome back. Employees of the Bermuda Police Service could be allowed to form or join the trade union of their choice if the government agrees to change current legislation. This comes after the Bermuda Trade Union Congress voted recently to lobby the government over the issue. Jason Hayward, the president of the BTUC, says it's all about allowing police service staff to have the same rights as anyone else. Tarai Trott reports.
While the Bermuda Police Service already has its own union called the Bermuda Police Association, Jason Hayward, the president of the Bermuda Trade Union Congress, the BTUC, points out there is a difference.
The Trade Union Act prohibits two organizations from being members, and that would be the Prison Officers Association and the Bermuda Police Officers. However, the BPA, which is the Bermuda Police Association, has its own legislation. That legislation bars the BPA from being affiliated with the Bermuda Trade Union Congress. And so what the motion actually is aiming to do at the floor is to give the BPA the same rights as all other associations with being part of the Bermuda Trade Union Congress.
The BTUC hopes the Bermuda Police Association can one day enjoy the same rights as other unions beneath the BTUC umbrella.
When we've done joint negotiations, they were allowed to participate. And as a result, that relationship has built since then, since the historic MOU that we had with the Bermuda government. And so now we see a greater need for organizations to be consolidated. And what we would like to see is the BPA have the same rights that all other associations have.
Another issue that the BTUC says it's concerned with is the low rate of employment among the island's youth, something the organization calls troubling.
Yeah, youth unemployment we find to be alarmingly high. Right now, youth unemployment runs at approximately 23%. We find that to be an alarming rate, and the country's unemployment rate is at 7%. We find 7% to be high rate of unemployment. I think that needs to be addressed also. But that featured heavily in our convention, because if we are not providing our young people with the necessary opportunities they need to live dignified lives in this community, we believe that it results in them fleeing the island and going away to look for other opportunities or engaging in antisocial behavior. Both we do not need.
Meanwhile, the BTUC has pledged to keep up its fight to have May 1st a public holiday in honor of International Workers' Day, or May Day.
Well, historically we had always lobbied for May 1st as being Labor Day in Bermuda. It is actually recognized around the world as International Workers' Day. We were given a date by the UBP, the government, in September. We had lobbied the previous Progressive Labour Party, and we'll continuously lobby for May 1st as being a national holiday. We know that we don't get much traction in that area with persons buying into it being a national holiday, but we will still represent or host events on May 1st annually.
Bermudian Jamiko Trott, who was last Friday sentenced to 25 years in jail for attempted murder, is the subject of a report in the UK's Daily Mail newspaper. The story, headlined "Double Life of Barber and Friend to Premier League Football Stars," states that Mr. Trott was close to footballers, including Manchester United's Jesse Lingard. It features video of Mr. Trott and Mr. Lingard inside the latter's vehicle, as well as images of Mr. Trott with former Manchester United star Andy Cole. Still to come, the very latest weather forecast and much more. Stay with us.
I was diagnosed with illness. Very frightening, because my son had just turned 1 and it was a cancer. So I'm young, new baby, and I needed to get the care that I knew would be definitive, so that I wanted to be around for him for a very long time. I got in contact with BF&M, and BF&M was able to commit at that time to doing at least 50%, so we were comfortable. Okay, well, we're gonna go. We got off the plane actually the day of the procedure, and on my way to the limo, my case manager called and she says, "Kiana, we got it, you're covered at 100%. And I cried all the way to the office because I was just so happy. The BF&M difference is that I really felt that the case manager really was concerned about my overall care, and because of that I really appreciated them. I think that personal care, that willingness to listen, and then to work until they were able to get it so that I could get full coverage really made the difference for me.
I got these for seasickness last week, and they're terrible.
That's strange.
I know. I put one behind each ear like you're supposed to, and nothing happened.
These are tablets. You're meant to take them with water.
I got this pump for my asthma. Hasn't changed anything.
Show me how you're using it. It's an inhaler. You're meant to Breathe it in.
Well, this toothpaste? Definitely off.
It's a hemorrhoid cream.
Well, that explains why my gums are shrinking.
Thanks for staying with us. Public Health Week kicked off today with a lunchtime walk through Washington Mall. That event is just the first in a series organized by the Department of Health. It's all part of a government campaign to fight Bermuda's rates of chronic illness, with the high level of deaths from diabetes a particular concern. But as Hal Davis reports, there were some crucial things missing today.
A cheerful group putting their best feet forward, taking part in a walk organised by the Ministry of Health around the Washington Mall. But it was a disappointing turnout, less than 10 people, including the 3 ministry helpers. A slow start then to Public Health Week, though at least those taking part enjoyed it.
I loved it. It was really, really good. Worked up a little bit of sweat, okay? Went to places in the mall I've never been before. There's some stores I want to go back to. Saw some good sales, so I'll probably go spend some money too. But I had a good time.
I really enjoyed it. They have these every year. They had a dance walk last week. Went out to that, and now keep it going.
Not very many people there.
No, I think the word's just getting out. But if people can come to, they have some more events later on in the week, and look out for it, like a Zumba in the park, you know. So I just encourage people to come out, look out for them.
Organisers say it's a slow process getting Bermudians to do more exercise, but they're pleased that at least those who took part today benefited. But much more is needed. While the island does quite well on some indicators, death rates from some cancers, like breast cancer for example, are lower than in the UK. But diabetes and prostate cancer rates are much higher than the average in OECD nations. The death rate for diabetes in Bermuda is twice that of Canada and 5 times that of Britain. Attempts to turn that around will continue this week. Thursday's Commit to Change event at City Hall will include free health screening, exercise classes and samples of healthy food. It's hoped that as government steps up its efforts to improve national health, the turnout will be better than today's. Hal Davis, Bermuda Broadcasting News.
Accuweather is presented by BF&M Insurance Group. We now go to Accuweather headquarters.
This Accuweather forecast here on ZBM is brought to you by our friends at the BF&M Insurance Group, and we have a pretty active weather pattern here. You guys had some screaming winds with that thunderstorm back on Sunday. That's history at least, but as we look ahead, there's another troublemaking system that'll be on our doorstep, at least, into the middle of the week. It'll be a close call as to how much rain we actually see from it. We will see some showers. Right now, though, it is a fairly tranquil time here this evening and tonight. The showers and storms associated with the most recent front are long gone, so we do look good from that regard. And temperatures are around 65, 66 into some areas. We have a breeze from the north. Not a very strong wind right now, only 5 to 10 knots. Humidity, 60 to 65%, so it is fairly comfortable. Water temperature is still hanging near 70. On the inside, we have 1 to 2 foot waves, the outside 4 to 8 footers, but the waves will be increasing in scale as we step deeper into the middle of the week here. So tonight, increasing amounts of clouds, and we will begin to see some scattered showers, and maybe even a few of you will hear a rumble of thunder later on tonight. A small craft warning begins tomorrow morning, and it runs through Wednesday morning as the waves will become a little more agitated because of an increasing breeze and a strong front that'll be on our doorstep, stalling to the north with quite a bit of rain tied to that as well. Low tide coming up at 10:36 tonight for the early risers, really early birds. A high tide 4:51 a.m. Tide goes out around midday, comes back in time for dinner on your Tuesday. As we look at the futurecast, this will help to bring this next system to life. You can see that counterclockwise flow. It's a pretty decent low pressure system off to the west, and it will become a little bit more elongated, and eventually we're going to find ourselves with flow from the south. That'll drive temperatures up, it'll drive dew points up, so it will feel very humid, and we'll have temperatures not move much as we step into Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. It'll almost be just too humid for much of a cool down overnight. That's tomorrow night, not tonight. There's going to be a lot of rain tied to this area where the winds are kind of chaotic and shifting. That's basically the front off to our north. So tomorrow, as that draws near, look for more clouds, the winds to pick up, and some scattered showers and thunderstorms around. Now, the heaviest of that will be to the northwest, but we'll still see some over the island. Gateway forecast across eastern North America. We just cannot shake the snow here in places like New York City and Boston, up and down parts of the northeast coast of the U.S. It's awfully late in the season for this. Now, in London, it's 60 degrees. We would expect to see something more like that in Boston or New York. Not the case. So head east as opposed to west if you want something warmer. Regarding larger land masses, we have scattered showers, warm, humid weather over the Caribbean to our south. And as we look at the extended forecast with that front nearby just to the north with heavy rain, especially to the north, maybe 50 miles or 100 kilometers or so, look for some scattered showers and storms in our area, occasionally clipping through the region, and then we'll dry out and turn a little cooler into Friday. Back to you.
AccuWeather was presented by BF&M Insurance Group.
Are you looking to expand your customer base, increase sales, and be a part of the Island Community Events for 2018? Bermuda Broadcasting Company can make that happen.
Be a part of World Cup 2018, Bermuda Day Half Marathon, Bermuda Heroes Weekend, Cup Match Classic, and Eastern Counties Cricket.
Inquire about our new advertising opportunities, whether big or small. We will deliver. Come and see us at Fort Hill, Devonshire, or email us at sales@bbc.bm or send us a message on Facebook at Bermuda Broadcasting.
Philadelphia International Medicine provides international patients with access to a unique network of world-renowned doctors and surgeons that provide personalized medical and surgical care, connecting you to the U.S.'s leading healthcare specialists who are ranked among the best in the world. Healing is possible when you're confident in your healthcare team. To find out more, contact us at physicians@philadelphiamedicine.com or call 1-215-563-4733.
It's one of the most uncomfortable things to think about. But the truth is, you are going to die.
I would be on a ventilator for a maximum of 4 days.
I don't want any pain. Medicating me to a point that I'm unable to communicate, I'm okay with that.
In no situation would I want to be kept alive on machines.
Mortality is an inevitability, so why is talking about it so taboo? Having no plan in place can leave families at loggerheads and can be a major drain on the healthcare system. Join me, Tony Waterman, for a week-long special looking at end-of-life care here in Bermuda. From hospice and wills to the latest technology helping seniors thrive, we'll arm you with the information to help demystify that final journey we all have to take. Talking Death, starting April 23rd.
In tonight's sports report, Earl Basin has an update from the Commonwealth Games, plus the weekend that was in sports.
Commonwealth Games squash event came to an end with Micah Franklin playing in the Classic Plate final. Franklin would go down 3-0 to Kevin Moran from Scotland. Franklin would fall 11-8, 11-9, 11-8. With a near flawless performance, Australia grabbed the gold medal in the Gold Coast Triathlon mixed relay. Team Bermuda of Flora Duffy, Erica Hawley, Tyler Smith, and Tyler Butterfield finished fifth with a time of 1:20.44, beating out the likes of Scotland, Wales, and South Africa. The FA Challenge Cup final was abandoned yesterday after inclement weather forced the referee to clear the field for player safety. Officials have indicated that the match will be played tomorrow, Tuesday, April 10th at the National Sports Centre with a 7 p.m. kickoff. Devonshire Cougars needed kicks from the penalty mark to defeat the Somerset Trojans 4-3 in the expansion knockout final at the National Sports Centre yesterday. After a scoreless first half, a mistake by the Somerset Trojans goalkeeper allowed a kick from Devonshire Cougars goalkeeper Kiyoshi Trott to fall through his fingertips and into the back of the net, and that was in the 64th minute. 5 minutes later, the scores would be level when Justin Cordes had a beat Trott at the far post. Neither team was able to score for the remainder of the game, sending it to the kick from the penalty mark, with Trott making 2 saves along with his goal being named man of the match. The PHC Zebras under 15 team are the 2017-18 Appleby under 15 knockout champions following their 4-0 win over the Dandytown Hornets on Saturday at the National Sports Center. The PHC Zebras got 2 goals in each half to lift the trophy. In the under 13 Division 1 final, the Dandytown Hornets defeated the North Village Rams Reds 4-1. In the under 13 Division 2 final, BAA picked up a 2-1 win over the PHC Zebras Whites. Dennis Embelenzi and Gail Lindsay are the 2018 Ludwig Can 10K road race male and female champions. Embelenzi picked up his second win in as many races and he crossed the line in a time of 38:40. Omari Hart was the second place finisher in a time of 39:27 and Teddy Shum finished third in a time of 39:44. Lindsay was the 7th overall runner across the line. She finished in a time of 40:56. Christine Daly was 8th overall and second female finisher, clocking a time of 51:10. Diamburi was the 3rd female finisher and 11th overall in a time of 43:58. Meanwhile, Rosanna Hoy finished on the podium at the Cooley Legends Half Marathon in Ireland. Hoy finished 18th overall, stopping the clock in a time of 1:44:16. Hoy was the 2nd female finisher behind Jenny King, who was 3rd overall with a time of 1:26:37. Cyclist Dominic Mayo may have called an end to his international aspirations, but in the Winner's Edge road race yesterday, he clearly showed that he is still the man to beat on local roads after outsprinting Hot Tube's rider Matthew Oliveira in the A category race in the Bermuda Bicycle Association season opener. In a sprint to the line, Mayo powered to the front, taking a well-deserved victory in a time of 1:52:14.2. Oliveira was second in a time of 1:52:14.6, and Caden Hopkins third in a time of 1:57:24.3. An impressive solo performance would define the women's race, which saw a good turnout for the 24.8-mile race. Bicycle Works' Caitlin Conyers rode to victory in a time of 1:08:23.1. Jamie Lee Wright, also from Bicycle Works, was second in 1:12:38.8, and Lindsay Palmer finished third in a time of 1:15:56 flat. The Devonshire Recreation Club are the 2018 Cricket Club Golf Champions after they shot a 15 under par at the Ocean View Golf Course on Saturday. The Devonshire Recreation Club team consists of Daniel Augustus, Darren Lewis, and Robert Coddington. The Bayless Bay team of Leroy Robinson, Rodney Trott, Nick Hollis, and Clarkie Trott would take second place after they finished 11 under par alongside St. David's Cricket Club Old Cats team of Eddie Lamb, Oliver Pitcher Sr., Alvin Pitcher, and Jamie Can. Noah Brown competed in the $5,000 Men's Vogue Optical Atlantic Championships in squash in Canada. Brown went down in his first round match in straight games 11-8, 11-5, 13-11 to Tyler Osborne. The curtain came down on the Bermuda Netball Association's Winter League season with the double elimination knockout tournament taking place at Bernard Park on Saturday. Although they were missing some key players, the Phoenix Heat and coach Erica Russell picked up the trophy. The Phoenix Heat would go undefeated, winning the final 4-3 over the Lindos Tigers. 478 points were scored in 4 matches over the weekend as the Bermuda Basketball Association's Winter League season, sponsored by One, continued. Game 1 saw the Somerset Tsunamis defeat the Southampton Thundercats 63-53. Game 2 saw the Warwick Rim Rockets defeat the Hamilton Parish Rockets 81-42. Game 3 of the weekend saw the Somerset Tsunamis edge the Devonshire Chargers 55-54. And the final game of the weekend saw Warwick Rim Rockets defeat the Smiths Court Kings 100-40. Bermuda Motorcycle Racing Club members participated in an advanced international training weekend at the M1 GP Raceway in California. Norrie Robinson was able to win both his International Race Day races, holding off a few challenges along the way. I'm Earl Basden with Bermuda Broadcasting Sports.
And just before we go, some late news in this evening. 2 teenagers have been arrested in connection with the theft of 3 scooters from TCD. The 50cc bikes were being kept in a shipping container before they were stolen and were used for Project Ride. 2 have been recovered, but a third is still missing. It's a maroon-colored 50cc Suzuki address license plate 566AQ. A 14-year-old boy and a 15-year-old boy were later released on police bail. Anyone with information should call the usual police number on 295-0011. That's 295-0011. And that's it from me this Monday evening. We'll be back tomorrow with all the top stories from across the island. I'm Jasmine Patterson. I hope you can join us then. Have a very good night and see you soon.
Jasmine Patterson's wardrobe and makeup is provided by Gibbons Company.